he just made a statement. Sam Malinski, a defenseman for the Colorado Avalanche, who's currently on a 1-year, $1.4 million prove-it contract, had a phenomenal first game of the season and proved to the Colorado Avalanche coaching staff and front office that he is a very strong defenseman with a lot of really promising potential and a guy that the Avs are going to want sticking around on the lineup for the future. Sam Malinski had a great first game, and we're going to break down everything surrounding his performance, one specific aspect of it that I really want to dive into, how this has implications for later on in the season, as well as just give Sam Malinski some flowers for all the amazing things that he's accomplished and how he ended up in the league playing for the Avs on a legit NHL contract, having played a full year in the NHL last year as well. And then we'll close things out with a game preview for tonight's home opener against the Utah Mammoth. That game puck drop in just about 2 hours from now, 7 o'clock Mountain Time. The puck will be down for the first time this regular season in Denver, Colorado. Before we dive into this, just really quickly, we want to remind you guys to make sure that you are subscribed to Avalanche Digest. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Perfect time to subscribe to the channel. Join the family is right now. The Avs are kicking off their season. They already had a electric 1-0 start. So you want to be locked and loaded and ready to go on this channel and everything that we're doing covering the Colorado Avalanche for the start of the season. Now, before we dive into the Sam Malinski conversation, I just wanted to really quickly highlight and give my thoughts on the first game. Shout out to Gavin, the other co-host, made a great post-game video. If you're curious about what we had to say here at Avalanche Digest in more depth about what we thought of the first game, how we thought everybody played and how the production was, go check that video out. But just real quick, what a great start for Colorado. Came out firing and proved to their opponent and just everybody that saw the game and in the league that they are a deep, very strong team this year, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think that Nathan MacKinnon passing Joe Sakic in Colorado Avalanche points all time, that was an awesome way to start the season. He obviously doesn't care about that kind of stuff. You know, Nathan MacKinnon is just locked in on one thing, and that's doing what he can from a team effort standpoint to get them back to a championship. But really good game overall, and I think that our depth up and down all four forward lines and on our defense as well really showed, and I'm very excited about it. One thing that I want to put a huge emphasis on, this is obviously just my opinion, people can agree to disagree, we need to pay Marty Necas ASAP. We need to sign him and get a contract for him so quickly. He meshes so well with our system. He plays so good on that top line with Nathan MacKinnon, and I mean, I could talk as much, I could go on and on is what I'm trying to say about how good he is and all this stuff. But I mean, in sum, the production that he had in that game, those 2 goals, beautiful goals, might I add, that should speak for itself. And I thought that the broadcasters on ESPN made a really good point. They said that, you know, a lot of these guys come into their last years of their contracts unsigned, haven't had an extension or anything. And they think about, like, you know, when's this going to get done? Sometimes the contracts just get themselves done with the way that the guys are playing. And I think that's exactly what Marty Necas kind of showed out and proved in his first game of the season with the Avs. And boy, oh boy, am I excited to have him in burgundy and blue for an entire season. All right, let's talk about Sam Malinski. Such a great game in that first win against the Los Angeles Kings. Super exciting for him that he was able to get a beautiful goal, as well as just play really efficient on defense and be all around the ice, making a lot of really good plays. Speaking of LA and us dominating LA, I just want to really quickly make one more off-topic point about last night, where LA showed that they're more than capable of putting up a very strong fight against a Stanley Cup favorite Vegas Golden Knights team that now has Mitch Marner. They played a lot better last night, but at the same time, I think that the fact that you now have this like tree train type of thing, and I know this is all just like the way that I perceive this, you know, people could think that it's inaccurate, but you have Colorado who crushed LA, and then you have LA who scored 5 goals and won in a shootout against Vegas. What does that say about what Colorado would be able to do against Vegas. So that's a game that I'm really excited to see whenever that is on the schedule for the first time. I don't know off the top of my head, but you also think about that in the back of your mind. I know I'm thinking way too far into the future, but playoffs, that's a 100% feasible matchup that we could end up in, whether it's in the second round or probably most likely the Western Conference Final. That's something to consider and something to think about. And so I'm excited to see those two teams play this year, as well as what LA will bring next time we face them. But anyways, back to the Sam Malinski conversation. Mentioned this a little bit in the intro, but he's on a 1-year, $1.4 million contract, a sort of prove it contract, as I like to call it. Essentially, he's getting paid, decent money, but the biggest kicker of the contract is the length. He's not locked in for long term. But I think that the way that he is playing and the way that he started out the season is a great start for this quote unquote prove it contract, in which he's hoping to have essentially a career year in the NHL and end up getting a longer term deal, which I am personally a huge fan of. Looking at his stats over the last 2 years, in the 2023-24 season, playing with the Avs, he had 23 games, 3 goals and 7 assists for 10 points. And then with the Eagles, 5 goals, 22 assists for 27 points. And then in the 2024-25 season, so last year, 76 games, 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points. He's already a fifth of the way there to breaking that goal scoring record in one game. That is massively promising looking forward and looking longer term and thinking about how he's going to play this season and how much he's going to be able to produce, not just in game one, but throughout the entire season. Very promising, considering that he's still in this mindset of like, I got off to a really hot start. I kicked things into gear very efficiently. Now I need to keep going and I need to keep rolling. He's a guy that I'm going to be keeping my eye on every game as far as, is he going to, be a potential 10, 15 goal scorer as a young defenseman trying to prove to the Avs front office that he is worthy of a longer term contract with some more money attached to it. The goal was amazing. It was a very hard clapper on the near side of the blue line in the Avs offensive zone, set up from a beautiful forecheck. And I just hope it's one of many. And he really proved that he's going to be, a really strong defenseman. He fits in really well with our system this year. And I'm just a big fan of what he was able to accomplish for the Colorado Avalanche. And then just highlighting Sam Malinski and his journey a little bit, because the most awesome thing about this storyline and what happened is where he came from. He played in the NAHL, and the NAHL decided to tweet it. He played for the Bismarck Bobcats. He's an alumni from there. He scored his first goal of the season in his 100th game on opening night. So cool that a guy that played in what they call is the League of Opportunity, he was able to get all the way up to the NHL and then make, such a national statement here. And it was his 100th game. Like I said, happy 100 games to Sam Malinski. Huge congratulations to him. Best way to celebrate: get a freaking tuck from the blue line to put your team up by a larger margin. Are you kidding me? It's got me absolutely fired up, and it just makes me love the guy so much, and it makes me so excited for what he's going to accomplish throughout the season. And then a great take here from Megan Angley of Guerrilla Sports in Denver, Colorado. Sam Malinski playing in his 100th NHL game in just his 3rd season as a professional. He completed his first full NHL season last year. We broke down those stats just a second ago. And then here's that list that I'm talking about. Quite an accomplishment for the undrafted young defenseman who came from the NAHL to playing Division I to now playing in the AHL. He was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Avs, and then now in the NHL. Such electric stuff. And he's really proving that he's going to have a really good case for why he should get a longer term deal and why he should maybe be sticking around with the Avs longer. And then last thing on this note, loved him and Brent Burns playing on the same D pairing. Brent Burns, 40 years old. He was zipping around the ice. He looked so good. He has a ridiculously hard shot. I'm so excited to see him play this year and what he's going to hopefully be able to accomplish at such a veteran status in the league. It's just really awesome stuff, and I'm very excited for having Brent Burns on the team. All right, let's close things out with a game preview and a score prediction for tonight's 7 o'clock Mountain Time, 8 o'clock Central Time puck drop at Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado, between the Avs and the Mammoth. A few things I want to touch on before I get into my score prediction. First home game of the season for the Avs. Everybody at home in Denver. Super stoked to be back with hockey right in front of them. So exciting. Nothing like opening night. I've been watching all these games, whether it was the Avs or LA or some of the ones last night, of all these like introductions and like all these home fan bases getting so unbelievably pumped for the NHL to be back in action. I cannot wait to see what Ball Arena is looking like with all just the fans jazzed up. They're going to be wearing, wrong finger, sorry. They're going to be wearing this jersey here tonight. It's a Central Division matchup, so usually it'd be this bad boy right here, our Navy alternates. But because it's the opening night, you got to put on the classic burgundy and blue, this guy right here. So stoked to see those tarps back on the team tonight. Very exciting stuff. And then speaking of jerseys, and then also speaking of teams, the Utah Mammoth are playing their first ever game as the Mammoth, and it's against the Avs. So Utah was obviously the Utah Hockey Club last year. Now they're the Mammoth, and they're playing their first game in Mammoth sweaters with that name against the Colorado Avalanche. And honestly, it's too bad for them that it's against Colorado, because I think that the Avs are going to, again, have a very strong win tonight. And my score prediction for tonight is 5-2 in favor of the Colorado Avalanche. I think the Avs are going to win 5-2 comfortably throughout this game. And I think it's going to be similar to LA in the sense that those 2 goals for Utah won't come until late in the second or even, mid to late in the third period. I think that it's going to be an outright show of dominance from Colorado right out the gate. And I think that they are going to take charge of the game. And I bet you one of those goals for the Avs is going to be an empty netter as well. I think Scott Wedgwood is still going to have another great game in front of a home crowd tonight, getting the nod at starter, as Mackenzie Blackwood is still nursing that injury. He'll be back and ready to go pretty soon. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Last but not least, I think Nate Dogg gets a tuck, his first of the year, in front of the home crowd for Ball Arena opening night for the Avs. So 5-2. My score prediction. I'm 1 for 1 somehow on score predictions here on Avalanche Digest. For the Kings game the other night, I predicted 4-1, and sure enough, what do you know? Hit the nail right on the head. So we'll see if I can keep the streak going, but if not, obviously pretty much impossible to actually predict the score without a little bit of luck sprinkled in there. All right, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Enjoy the game tonight, and go Avs. We will talk to you soon.